you had already won the lottery in your imagination, would your heart beat differently right now? That moment you feel a surge of excitement just imagining it, that is the gateway. That is the beginning of creation. You do not win the lottery by waiting for numbers to be drawn. You win the lottery by drawing the numbers on the screen of your imagination first, not with your eyes, but with your inner vision. This is not about chance. This is not about odds. This is about consciousness. The only thing that separates the man who holds the ticket from the man who only dreams of it is the assumption that it is already done. To manifest the lottery with inner vision, you must begin by assuming you are already the winner. Let that idea take root. You are the winner, not someday, not after a sign, now. Let the phrase echo through your being until your imagination floods with the reality of it. This is not fantasy. This is law. The law of assumption does not ask if something is probable. It only demands that you feel it real. You must live as if your win is already done. The moment you close your eyes and declare yourself the winner, you plant the seed. And in the unseen realms, the lottery draw has already occurred for you. You begin to act differently, walk differently, even breathe with the rhythm of quiet assurance. That shift, that feeling is not foolishness, it is divine wisdom. Feel the joy as you win the lottery using imagination. Experience it vividly. Hold the ticket. See the numbers. Hear the announcement. Let your inner vision burn so clearly that the outer world cannot help but bend to its shape. The Neville Goddard lottery technique is not technique at all. It is awakening. It is the understanding that you are the cause and the prize simultaneously. So tonight, before sleep, assume the feeling of winning. You must go beyond mere visualization. You must cross the bridge into living in the end. The lottery win is not somewhere in your future. It is already established in the now, in your inner world. Let your imagination create the reality by walking in it. Live from the place, not toward it. That is how the soul wins. Let every cell of your body echo, I have won, because when your subconscious accepts it as true, the outer world reshapes itself to match. This is the mystery of manifestation. This is how you bend the timeline, not by wishing, but by mental rehearsal for success. You may ask, how do I do it daily? You rehearse it with joy. You visualize the lottery numbers with the emotion of certainty. You persist in the assumption. You build a feeling so real that no outside evidence is needed. You walk in peace because you have already won. Your subconscious programming now works on your behalf, attracting incidents, ideas, and outcomes that bridge you to that very victory. Let go of the how. The bridge of incidents is not your business. You are not required to know how it will unfold. Your only duty is to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That is where wealth flows from, not from effort, but from alignment, from consciousness, from the center of belief where feeling attracts wealth. Those who wait for proof delay their blessing. Those who assume they already won walk straight into it. The world may call it luck. You will know it as law. It is your inner world that creates the outer world. You are not separate from the prize. You are its source. Now decide, do you want to watch others win, or will you awaken the winner within? Manifesting financial abundance begins not with effort, but with vision. Bold, vibrant, internal vision. Let that vision burn so brightly that no doubt can eclipse it. Close your eyes. Feel the winning moment. Let that reality live within you. And then, without fear, without doubt, let it unfold. To bring any desire into physical existence, the only requirement is assumption. Not mere repetition of words, not effort in the traditional sense, but a total inward movement into the feeling that what you desire is already yours. This is especially true when it comes to something as symbolically rich and emotionally charged as winning the lottery. The common man will say, it's luck, it's randomness, but the awakened mind understands that nothing is random in the realm of consciousness. The lottery is not about numbers. It's about states of being. If you want to win the lottery, you must assume you already have. This does not mean pretending or hoping. It means fully embodying the mental and emotional state of the person who has already received the prize. You walk, speak, think, and feel from that end. When the feeling of victory saturates your consciousness, when it becomes your resting place, your world will begin to reorganize itself to reflect that assumption. Do not concern yourself with facts. Facts are only frozen beliefs, outcomes hardened by prior assumptions. If you want to change them, you do not wrestle with the facts. You change the assumption that birthed them. So if today you do not see yourself as a winner, the only reason is that you have not yet made the winning state your dwelling place. You may visit it in thought briefly, but unless you live in it, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, the outer world will continue to reflect the same familiar outcomes. There is a sacred art to assuming the state of the wish fulfilled. It begins in stillness. In a quiet moment, you withdraw your attention from what the world shows you, and you give life to what you choose to see with your inner eye. You enter the scene of fulfillment. You don't beg or hope. You experience. You become. You feel the texture of the moment. You hear the news that you've won. You see your name on the results. You feel the emotional electricity running through your body. Your heart beats as if the miracle has just unfolded because within consciousness, it has. This assumption is not a one-time event. It is a practice, a discipline. You must return to this state over and over until it becomes natural, until the assumption becomes your identity. Do not be swayed by the outer world's silence or contradiction. The outer only confirms the inner. Once the inner is stable, the outer must obey. The law is simple but relentless. What you are conscious of being, you become. If you are conscious of being a lottery winner, and you persist in that awareness, nothing can stop its manifestation. The very numbers will conspire for your benefit. Understand this deeply. The world responds to your consciousness, not your effort. Trying hard to win will not win it for you. Hoping, doubting, needing, these are states of lack, and they perpetuate lack. The only creative act is assumption. When you dwell in the state of fulfillment, you have already moved the invisible machinery of creation. You are no longer striving, you are receiving. You are no longer seeking, you are allowing. There is nothing to chase because it is already yours and the unseen. You may say, but I don't know how to feel like a winner when I've never won. And that is precisely the secret. You must feel a thing before the world gives you permission. The world is only a mirror. If you wait for it to validate your inner state, you will wait forever. Instead, you validate yourself from within. You anoint yourself the victor, not because the world said so, but because you said so. This requires courage. It means trusting the unseen more than the seen. It means believing that your inner world is more real than the outer world, and that the outer world will conform to the shape of your belief. You are not manifesting the lottery to prove anything to the world. You are manifesting it to align with who you truly are. A creator, a chooser, a divine being wielding the power of assumption. Every time you imagine holding that ticket, seeing those numbers, receiving the confirmation, and you feel it real, not as a distant fantasy, but as a present truth, you water the seed of your manifestation. And just like a seed planted in darkness, your desire will sprout when the time is ripe. The harvest is inevitable for the one who does not doubt the ground in which he planted. Assume you are the winner, and let that assumption carry you through the day. Let it color your thoughts. Let it guide your decisions. Let it be the silent song that plays in your soul. Speak not as one hoping to win, but as one who has already won. Let your imagination be the throne from which you rule your world, and let your assumption be your decree. Once the assumption becomes habitual, natural, unconscious, then the outer event must come. For the law knows no exceptions. What you claim within, you receive without. Therefore, claim it now. Not tomorrow, not when the numbers are drawn, but now, in the only time that is real. The imagination is not a tool, it is the creator. Everything you now call reality once existed only in someone's imagination. the home you live in, the money you earn, the clothes you wear, all of it was once an idea, an invisible image held in the mind of one who dared to believe. This truth becomes the key when applied to something many call impossible, such as winning the lottery. To most, it is a matter of odds. To the awakened soul, it is a matter of vibration, a matter of consciousness. And at the center of this process lies the sacred act of feeling, specifically the feeling of joy. To imagine winning the lottery is not enough. You must feel the joy of having won. That joy is not a wish. It is the bridge. Joy is the frequency of arrival. Joy is the signal that what you are imagining has been received, accepted, embodied. If you can conjure that joy now, if you can laugh, cry, or breathe differently because of the imagined win, then the outer event must arrive to match that feeling. This is not a theory. This is law. There is a profound difference between thinking of winning and thinking from the state of having won. The former is distant, conditional, vague. The latter is present, certain, alive. To feel the joy as if the win were already yours is to move beyond fantasy and into embodiment. You do not imagine that someday you might win. You imagine that it is already done, already yours. And your heart knows it. That is the joy you must cultivate. Begin by crafting the scene. Close your eyes and go within. Let your imagination show you the news, the moment, the results. Do not observe yourself from afar. Be the one who just heard the winning numbers. Be the one receiving the check, holding the ticket, walking into the bank. And then let your body respond. Let your emotions rise. Let your inner world erupt in celebration. That celebration is not artificial. It is sacred. It is the sign that your subconscious has accepted the image as truth. Many will say, but I don't know how to feel it when I have nothing. Yet you do it all the time. When you watch a film and weep at fiction, when you dream and awaken with your heart racing, you prove that your inner world is capable of producing real emotion from imagined scenes. So why not use that same faculty to transform your destiny? Feel the weight of the money in your account. See the smile on your face as you bless your family, your community, yourself. Hear the words, "You've won," and let them resonate like a bell in your soul. That moment, lived inwardly, deeply, sincerely, is the cause. The outer win is merely the effect. You are not imagining for pleasure. You are imagining to create. And so the joy must be real. Let it be irrational. Let it rise before there is reason. Let it laugh before there is proof. For joy, when birthed from imagination, is not delusion. It is evidence of alignment. The joy of the imagined win is a signal to the universe that you are no longer hoping or trying. You are receiving, and what you receive within must become visible without. This process requires no physical action, no tickets, no formulas. It requires only that you stay faithful to the feeling, that you return to the joy again and again until it becomes your dwelling place. The joy does not fade because it is not based on something outside you. It is anchored in your consciousness, and therefore it is immune to delay or contradiction. You do not need to share this feeling with others. You do not need validation or agreement. The inner joy is private, intimate, sovereign. It is your secret, your covenant with the unseen. And as you walk through your day with this silent joy, you change your frequency. The world begins to respond. Coincidences appear. Hunches lead you. Moments align. The bridge of incidents begins to unfold, not because you forced it, but because you felt your way into it. Most fail not because they lack belief, but because they refuse to feel. They imagine without emotion, visualize without immersion, declare without joy. But the universe responds to feeling. The subconscious responds to feeling. Feeling is the prayer, the command, the ignition. So you must learn to feel the end as if it were now. And in that feeling you dwell, not for 5 minutes, not until you're distracted, but until it becomes natural. Joy becomes your new identity, not a reaction, but a foundation. You walk in joy because you know what's coming, even when the senses deny it. That is the great reversal. You no longer wait to celebrate. You celebrate to make it real. You reverse the order, and in doing so, you reverse your fate. So, let the joy of the wind take over you. Let your imagination become the womb of your wealth. Do not wait for numbers. Do not wait for results. You have already received it in the realm where all things begin, within. The error most people make in the art of manifestation is living life in pursuit of their desire rather than from the fulfillment of it. They move toward the goal, always reaching, always waiting, always deferring their sense of being. But the law does not respond to effort made toward a thing. It responds to identity claimed now. To manifest what you desire, especially something as symbolically complete as winning the lottery, you must understand this vital distinction. You cannot become something you are not already in consciousness. You must begin living not as someone hoping to win or trying to win, but as someone who already has. This is not delusion, it is divine alignment. You are not pretending to be a winner, you are awakening the winner within and letting your world adjust to that identity. Living from the end means you no longer ask whether it will happen. You no longer measure time or look for signs. You move, breathe, and exist in the consciousness that it is already done. And because it is done in consciousness, it must be done in form. If a man lives from poverty, he multiplies lack. If he lives from abundance, even before he touches a single coin, abundance begins to answer him. The outer world is not the source, it is a mirror. It reflects your internal assumptions. So when you imagine the lottery win, you must not stop at imagination alone. You must live from that place, meaning your thoughts, feelings, and reactions must all be consistent with the man who has already received. When you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, how does the person who has already won live this day? What does he fear? Nothing. What does he worry about? Nothing. What does he expect? More of the good that has already come. That is the vibration you must live in, not in sporadic moments, not in shallow bursts, but as your consistent dwelling place. To live from the place means to assume the role mentally and emotionally before any physical evidence arrives. It is easy to say you are abundant when your bank account shows a surplus, but the secret is to say you are abundant when the world shows you the opposite. To say you have won while the draw has not yet occurred. That is the power that draws unseen things into form. Living from the place is not about arrogance, it is about certainty. There is no force, no need to push or prove. The assumption becomes so solid that you no longer entertain opposing thoughts. Doubt becomes irrelevant. Time becomes irrelevant. You are already there, and so the outer must conform. When an actor takes the stage, he becomes the role entirely. He does not question whether he is the king. He walks, speaks, and rules as the king. This is what it means to live from the place. You become the winner before the world knows your name, and when your world eventually reflects it, it will feel like old news to you, because you've already lived it, emotionally and mentally, for days, weeks, months prior. The reason most manifestations remain unfulfilled is that people visit the state, but do not live in it. They treat it as a vacation rather than a home. They imagine briefly and then return to their old identity. They create a flicker, but not a fire. To truly manifest the lottery, you must dwell in the feeling of already having won with such depth that nothing outside you has the power to shake it. Let your conversations change. Let your posture change. Let your thoughts throughout the day echo the satisfaction of having already received. Speak internally like a man who has already received the good news. Let your imagination be so real that the line between the seen and unseen dissolves. That state becomes your truth, and the world will come running to validate it. There will be moments when the senses scream otherwise. The bank balance may not yet show the evidence. The world may appear silent, but your task is not to observe appearances. Your task is to hold the state. You are not watching for signs. You are generating the cause. The man who lives from his fulfilled desire does not beg or chase. He knows, and his knowing becomes the axis around which his reality turns. In this way, manifestation becomes effortless. not because it requires no discipline, but because it no longer requires efforting in the outer world. All effort is internal. You do not try to bring about change. You assume it has already occurred. And from that assumption, your actions become inspired, your timing divine, your steps ordered. Living from the place of having won does something magical to the soul. It dissolves resistance. It ends the striving. It gives birth to gratitude in advance. And gratitude in advance is one of the most magnetic states in the universe. When you are grateful before the win is already yours. So make this inner shift now. Do not wait for the world to give you permission. Do not seek proof before you believe. Your belief is the cause, not the effect. Walk in the end, feel in the end, respond to life from the end, and the outer world, blind though it may seem, will open its eyes and bow to your assumption. The words you speak, both aloud and silently within yourself, are not idle sounds. They are declarations of being. Every word you utter reveals and reinforces the state you are dwelling in. When you speak as someone who is still hoping, still waiting, still unsure, you are confirming your distance from the fulfillment you seek. But when you speak as one who has already received, you collapse that distance entirely. The key to manifestation, particularly when applied to something like winning the lottery, is not to speak of the win as a possibility, but as a reality already secured. Many unknowingly keep their desires at bay because they speak as seekers rather than receivers. The one who says, "I hope I win," has declared that he does not yet possess. The one who says, "maybe someday," has placed his dream on a distant timeline. And the one who says, "if it's meant to be," has handed over his authority to something outside himself. But the creative power within does not respond to hesitation and responds to boldness, to inner certainty expressed in word. Your words must match your inner vision. If you have truly imagined winning the lottery and felt it real, then your speech must be transformed by that assumption. You cannot claim the feeling of the wish fulfilled and still speak like one who is unsure. If you do, you are denying the very state you wish to inhabit. The words you speak carry vibration, and that vibration either draws your desire closer or pushes it further. The inner monologue, that ceaseless stream of quiet conversation within, is the most powerful script you will ever write. It is there, in that private theater of the mind, that creation begins. You must train this dialogue to agree with your vision. If your imagination has seen the numbers matched, the prize won, the celebration unfolding, then your inner words must say, "it is done." Not will be done, but is. You cannot wait for the world to validate your win. You must validate it from within through your word. And this validation is not for the benefit of others. It is for your own alignment. When you say to yourself, "I have already won," and feel the truth of it vibrating through your being, you bring the inner and outer into harmony. That alignment is what opens the door to manifestation. Let your words carry the conviction of fulfillment. Let them reflect the emotional tone of victory. Instead of saying, "I hope I win," say, "this is my moment." Instead of repeating, "maybe it's not for me," say, "it has already happened in the realm that matters most, within me." Speak the language of completion, not of process. The process is invisible. What matters is the state you inhabit. And words are both the expression and the reinforcer of that state. If you find yourself slipping into old speech patterns, catch them quickly. Do not condemn yourself, but gently correct course. Shift the words, and the mind will follow. Language is a tool, and when used with intention, it becomes a ladder that lifts you into your chosen reality. Speak only what you wish to see made flesh. This speech must extend beyond verbal expression. It must infuse your tone, your rhythm, your response to life. When someone asks how things are going, answer from the place of fulfillment. When your mind wanders into doubt, gently steer it back with affirming speech. Let your inner voice become your most loyal advocate, never again your silent saboteur. There is a great mystery in how words shape destiny. They do not merely describe what is, they summon what shall be. When you speak in the present tense of your desired reality, you instruct your subconscious to align with that version of self. And because the subconscious accepts what it is told with feeling, repetition of fulfilled speech becomes a command to the unseen forces of creation. Let your speech reflect the joy of already having received, not the anxiety of waiting, but the relief of completion. Let your words drip with the gratitude of realization. That is the state that draws the bridge of incidence, those invisible connections that lead you effortlessly to your resolve. The transformation begins the moment you decide that your speech will no longer contradict your vision. Every time you say, "It's already done," and believe it, the walls of delay begin to crumble. Every time you say, "I am the winner," and feel it, you pour energy into the very form you seek to birth. So speak as a winner. Speak as one who already knows how the story ends. Speak not to impress others or convince the world, but to confirm within yourself that your state is secure. And as your words change, your life must follow. Gratitude is not a reaction to something received. It is a creative power. It is the emotional proof that what you ask for has already been accepted in the realm where all things begin. When you give thanks before the manifestation, you announce to the invisible world that you already possess the thing in consciousness. That is the secret of accelerated manifestation. You do not wait to feel thankful after you win. You feel thankful as if you already have. This is the paradox the world misses, and the key the awakened soul understands. Most people reserve gratitude for what the five senses confirm. They are grateful after the bank deposit, after the announcement, after the celebration. But that is not true gratitude. It is acknowledgement. Gratitude that draws the unseen into the seen is different. It is unprovoked by outer events. It rises from the imagination, and because it does, it bends time and space to reflect the imagined reality. It creates a bridge between the state of desire and the state of fulfillment. When you apply this to manifesting something extraordinary, like winning the lottery, the shift becomes spiritual. You are not performing rituals or chasing numbers. You are aligning with a frequency. You are entering a vibration that matches the outcome you seek, and nothing matches the vibration of fulfillment more than gratitude. To say thank you and mean it before there is any physical reason to do so is the mark of true belief. It says to the subconscious, "This is done. This is real. This is mine." This form of gratitude is not forced or hollow. It is alive. It tingles through the body. It lifts the voice and changes the face. It bubbles up like laughter because the inner man knows something the outer man does not yet see. This gratitude is the evidence of faith in action. It requires no audience. It does not need to be shared. It happens in the silence of your inner chamber. And it is in that silence that the future is shaped. Imagine waking up each morning and feeling the weight of gratitude, not for what is visible, but for what is already true in the inner world. You smile before the phone rings. You rejoice before the confirmation comes. You feel the thrill of being selected, chosen, rewarded. And the reason you feel it is because you have already claimed it in consciousness. The moment you feel gratitude deeply and consistently for a thing not yet seen, you bring it under a law higher than chance. You move it from possibility to certainty. Gratitude in advance transforms your identity. You are no longer the one seeking change. You become the one who has received. That shift in self-purview causes your behavior, your speech, your energy, and even your posture to evolve. You speak less of what you lack and more of what you now enjoy within. You complain less. You hope less. You thank more. You trust more. And in doing so, you collapse the delay between desire and its manifestation. This energy of thankfulness cannot be faked. You cannot merely say the words, you must feel them. You must cultivate the emotion of completion so intensely that it overrides doubt. You must anchor your gratitude so deeply in your being that even when the outer world gives no evidence, your inner world radiates certainty. That is the magnetic power that draws unseen forces to your aid. It summons people, places, timing, and outcomes with precision. Do not underestimate the creative power of saying thank you with your whole soul. It is more than politeness. It is more than a mental trick. It is the language of answered prayer. when you live in this state, you speak to the universe in its own language, a language that does not need begging or repetition. A single moment of sincere gratitude can dissolve years of resistance. One burst of deep, thankful emotion can rearrange the timeline of your life. There is no greater evidence that you believe in your own inner power than gratitude for what no one else yet sees. The world may call it delusion. The world may say you are foolish, but your inner world will reward you with miracles that make the critics silent. Every manifestation begins in imagination, grows through assumption, and is nourished by gratitude. Gratitude is the spiritual oxygen that gives breath to your creation. So you must give thanks, not once, not twice, but continuously, habitually. As you walk through your day, carry the quiet conviction of one who already has. Let your gratitude be like a perfume that follows you. Let it rise when you see signs, and let it remain even when you do not. Let it be unconditional. Because when your thankfulness is no longer tied to results, results must appear to match it. Gratitude in advance is not emotional decoration. It is a mystical signature. It marks your inner world as fulfilled, and the outer must comply. So give thanks now, not later, not when you've won, but because you have already won within. Imagination is not a luxury reserved for poets or artists. It is the very instrument through which creation occurs. The world treats it as a passive entertainment, something to engage when there is nothing else to do. But the awakened soul understands that imagination is the spiritual workshop where all reality is shaped. You do not imagine for amusement, you imagine to direct the invisible forces of life. Imagination is the blueprint, and what you consistently hold in that sacred inner world becomes flesh and substance in the outer world. When you set out to manifest something as bold and symbolic as winning the lottery, you are not playing a game of luck. You are engaging the most sacred law known to man, the law that consciousness is causation. To imagine is to initiate the unfolding of reality. You are not simply daydreaming. You are selecting a state. You are stepping into the creative chamber of your soul and declaring what shall be. Many fail to manifest because they treat imagination as a form of escape rather than a function of dominion. They float through mental pictures with no emotional anchor, no commitment, no belief. They speak the words of desire but do not feel the tones of fulfillment. But to imagine truly is to accept what you see inside as more real than what you see outside. It is to persist in the invisible, even while the visible contradicts it. When you imagine to create, you do not hope. You do not try, you do not ask permission. You become. Let the picture in your mind be specific and saturated with feeling. Do not drift, direct. See the numbers appear, hear the announcement, feel the joy rising within your chest as the reality becomes yours in the realm where all things are born. You are not just watching this scene, you are in it, you are living it in the first person. This inner experience, vivid and felt, is the act of creation. This is not a shallow visualization. It is not a technique. It is a spiritual law in operation. You must impress upon your subconscious a scene so complete, so emotionally alive, that it cannot help but reproduce it in the outer world. That impression is not made by logic or repetition alone. It is made by sustained feeling, the kind of feeling that overrides fear, silences doubt, and asserts its own authority over every fact. Imagination, when used to create, is not bound by time. It does not ask how long it will take. It does not check the calendar. It lives in the now, and because it lives in the now, it calls the future into the present. Every moment you spend in this creative state shortens the distance between the imagined and the real. But you must remain faithful. You must return to it again and again, not out of desperation, but out of conviction. To imagine to create is to build a new inner identity. You are no longer someone striving to win. You are the one who has already won. You feel it, you know it, you inhabit that self-premise so completely that the world must conform. The subconscious mind, once impressed with this reality, works day and night to bring about the bridge of incidents, those seemingly random events that lead to your result. But the bridge is not your concern. Your only duty is to remain in the state. This is why you must imagine not with effort but with clarity. You must choose the end and dwell in it. Do not imagine different outcomes. Do not entertain contradictions. Do not water your seed with worry. If you truly want to create, you must be single-minded. Choose the image of victory. Infuse it with feeling. Return to it morning and night. Let it become your internal atmosphere. That atmosphere, when sustained, becomes your environment. Remember, you are not doing this to feel good. You are doing this to bring something into form. This is not escapism, it is alignment. The inner world is the seedbed, the outer world is the harvest. Do not judge the seed by the silence of the soil. Trust the process. Stay in the image. Let your imagination work unhindered by doubt. That is how the impossible becomes inevitable. You may not see the change immediately, but that does not matter. You are not waiting, you are creating. And creation takes place in silence first. Do not let appearances seduce you into disbelief. Appearances are echoes of former thoughts. You have chosen new thoughts, new images, and you must stay loyal to them. As you imagine, make it vivid. Use all your senses. Smell the air in the room where the news is delivered. Hear the tone of voice congratulating you. Feel the texture of the winning ticket in your hand. Let your whole being say yes to this scene, and let that yes be repeated until the outer world agrees. This is the discipline of true creation. You imagine not for fantasy, but for formation. You imagine not to escape reality, but to shape it. You are not a beggar knocking at the door of fate. You are the author of your experience, and imagination is your pen. Use it, believe in it, and do so not as a method, but as a knowing. There is a tendency in the human mind to interfere with the unseen. After one has imagined the end, after one has planted the seed and felt it as real, the mind grows restless and demands to know how. It wants to understand the mechanics, to trace every step between desire and fulfillment, to solve the invisible path with visible logic. But creation does not require your intellect. The how is not your burden. The bridge of incidents that will carry you from imagination to manifestation is none of your business. You are asked only to occupy the end, to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. Once that state is accepted as natural and true, all that remains is trust. Not passive waiting, but the quiet knowing that life itself is organizing every detail required for your manifestation. This organization is not random. It's not chaotic. It is a divine intelligence responding to your inner command. When you imagine vividly and persistently that you have already won the lottery, when you walk in that feeling day by day, a network of events begins to assemble itself. People, places, circumstances, and choices align in ways your logical mind could never design. These events are not magical in appearance. In fact, they may seem completely ordinary, but in retrospect, you will see that each one formed a stepping stone, an invisible bridge leading directly to your result. This bridge is built by your assumption. It is powered by your feeling of certainty. It does not require your assistance. In fact, your interference often delays it. The need to control, the urge to force, the habit of worrying, how it will happen, all these are signs that you have left the end and returned to the middle. And the moment you step away from the end, the bridge begins to dissolve. You are not the architect of the path. You are the creator of the state, and from the state, the path will arise. Stay faithful to the inner scene and let the bridge appear. Do not try to choose the winning numbers with your rational mind. Do not try to predict the day or hour. That is irrelevant. You are already the winner within. Let life choose the method by which this truth will become visible. There may be moments where the bridge seems delayed. You may look around and see no movement. But that is not proof of absence. It is proof of incubation. The unseen is always moving, always working, always weaving the perfect unfolding. Trust is your only task. Feel the end. Live in the end. Let that inner reality be your dwelling place, and the bridge will carry you while you rest. This bridge will often move through the path of least resistance. It will use existing channels, existing relationships, existing ideas, but in new and unexpected combinations. Your conscious mind may not recognize the thread at first. You may take an action that feels natural, make a call you were inspired to make, walk into a place without reason, and yet all of it will be part of the plan. You are not pushing events. You are following intuition, and that intuition is informed by the state you have already claimed. When you try to build the bridge yourself, you may feel exhausted. You may try to guess, manipulate, or force a path. This is unnecessary. The moment you imagined your wish fulfilled and felt it real, a movement was set into motion. That movement will continue as long as you remain faithful. You cannot see the whole map, but you don't need to. All you need is the feeling of certainty, and from that feeling, inspired action will arise naturally. Sometimes the bridge includes things you didn't expect, a delay that makes sense only later, a closed door that led to a better one, a moment of redirection that seemed inconvenient but was in truth divine precision. Do not judge the bridge. Do not compare it to others. Your bridge is uniquely crafted for your consciousness. No two are the same. Let it unfold in its own timing. And above all, resist the temptation to abandon your state because the outer world hasn't yet caught up. The outer is slow. It is a reflection, not a cause. You must be more loyal to your vision than to your senses. The bridge does not appear to the doubter. It appears to the one who assumes it's already done and walks as if the world is already reshaped. Live with the inner confidence that something is moving, even if you do not yet know what. That confidence is the magnet that draws each incident, each encounter, each result. You will look back and marvel at how it all came together. But you must first refuse to meddle with the middle. Leave the bridge alone. Walk with trust. And the bridge will rise to meet you. When your thankfulness is no longer tied to results, results must appear to match it. There is a divine paradox in the creative process, one that escapes the calculating mind but is immediately grasped by the heart that understands spiritual law. When you are no longer thankful because of a result but are thankful in spite of the absence of it, the result must appear, not by force, not by manipulation, but by law. This is the silent mechanism of manifestation, the secret behind effortless creation, the detachment of your emotional state from the need for confirmation. To manifest a lottery win, or any desire that seems improbable to the world, you must sever the bond between your joy and the appearance of evidence. You must learn to generate thankfulness, not as a reward for what you see, but as a declaration of what you have already received in the unseen. This shift in posture from conditional gratitude to unconditional certainty moves you from waiting to possessing. Gratitude, when tied to external validation, becomes weak. It fluctuates. It is easily disrupted. It vanishes when the senses contradict your aim. But when your gratitude is internal, when it is anchored in your inner knowing, it becomes immovable. It becomes a cause instead of an effect. It becomes the signal that says, it is done, regardless of appearances. This is not mental trickery. It is spiritual alignment. It is the mature expression of faith, faith that does not require outer evidence to feel inner peace. And in this kind of faith, in this unwavering thanksgiving for what the world has not yet confirmed, you draw the result into being. You no longer beg for it. You no longer ask for signs. You embody the feeling of completion. And in doing so, the world becomes compelled to reflect it. When you wake in the morning and feel joy for a reality unseen, when you walk through the day in thanksgiving for an outcome that only exists in your imagination, you have stepped into the role of a creator, not a passive dreamer, not a conditional believer, but a conscious spiritual authority. You are not reacting to life. You are informing it. Let your heart give thanks in the absence of proof. That is how you signal to the subconscious that the work is already done. And when the subconscious accepts this, it orchestrates the circumstances needed to bring the outer in line with the inner. Gratitude becomes not a response, but a command. It becomes the declaration of sovereignty over time and probability. You must understand that life responds not to your hopes, but to your state. And your state is revealed in how you feel, how you speak, and most of all, in what you are thankful for. If you are only thankful after something happens, then you are living as a follower of the senses. But if you can give thanks beforehand, you are declaring that you are the cause, not the effect. And all effects must then flow from that cause. Practice this daily, not as a ritual, but as a habit of being. Each time you feel fear, answer it with thankfulness. Each time you notice the absence of the thing desired, replace it with a feeling of its presence. Say within yourself, "Thank you that it is already mine." And say it with no bitterness, no waiting, no desperation. Say it because it is true in consciousness. The world will test your devotion to this state. It will present you with delays, contradictions, and silence. But your task is not to react to these. Your task is to remain in gratitude, as if the result were already yours. This is how the spiritual world is made visible, not by effort, but by steadfast feeling, not by struggle, but by stillness. This kind of thankfulness rewires your reality. It changes your vibration. It tells the entire field of existence, I do not need proof. I am the proof. And when you live as the proof of your desire, the outer cannot help but arrange itself to confirm what you already know to be true. This is why those who wait remain waiting. Their gratitude is held hostage by evidence. But those who create from within walk in a different timeline. They no longer count days. They no longer search the news. They smile without reason. They celebrate before the applause. They rejoice before the revelation. And in doing so, they compress the distance between now and the fulfillment of their desire. So let your thankfulness today be untied from whether anything has changed. Let it rise from a deeper place, a place that knows the laws of life respond only to assumption, not to observation. Live now in the vibration of thank you. Let it be your music, your rhythm, your reply to every doubt. And in that soundless gratitude, miracles must come. You have now seen what the world cannot teach, that you are not at the mercy of odds, numbers, or external forces. You are not hoping to win. You are awakening to the fact that within you lives the power to call things that are not as though they were. You are never meant to chase outcomes. You are meant to assume them, to feel them, to live from them. You do not manifest the lottery by grasping or forcing or doubting. You manifest by entering the state of the winner. Now, you do it by imagining clearly, by feeling fully, by living inwardly in the end, long before the world echoes it. You do it by speaking as one who has already received, by giving thanks as if the blessing has already been delivered. And you leave the bridge of incidents alone, because your trust builds it brick by brick. When you no longer need the wind to feel victorious, when the joy, gratitude, and peace exist without evidence, that is when the evidence appears. That is when the world mirrors your inner world back to you, not because you begged it, but because you believed it. So go now and dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Walk as one who has already received. And when you do, life must bow to the image you hold, because you have become it. What you assume to be true, if persisted in, must harden into fact.